and infamous Johnny Faust.
Yeah, infamous that sums it up a lot better.
How you doing, sir?
I'm good. And you had a
It's
good
so,
Christmas?
so good to see you in this
you.
2024, right in the beginning.
Absolutely. I'm just happy to be here.
You know, I am in touch with that sentiment for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I had lunch with some friends today that one I see on a reasonably consistent basis, another that I don't. And we were just talking about things in life, and it was another one of those when you listen to somebody else that you know is doing well in many areas of life, but then when you kind of hear some of the other things that they've gone through with their family and all of that, it's just another eye opener where you go, I'm good.
You know that we talk about that on this show quite a bit.
Yep.
And just be careful if you think something's, going on in your life, because you may run into somebody else that looks good on the outside, but not so much.
Life gets a little messy here and there, and you're always shucking and jiving. That's all I know. So did you make any New Year's resolutions this year?
You came up with that show topic, and I really, I think it's a good one. However, I am kind of God driven on my deal. And I wake up every morning saying, God, who should I help today? And that is really my resolution for the rest of my days, is to see if I could help somebody every day when I get up. And I was talking to Nicole on our Synergy CBD show earlier today, and it's like every time I try to help somebody, I end up getting benefited. And I was helping this guy with a construction company in Denver, and his name is Justin Towers, and did a really great job with me on a building I bought and sold. And so I had a couple of people needing some work done. And so I referred Justin. When I called him, he said, oh, thank God you called. It's been really slow. And I'm like, a good handyman who is a good guy, how can it be slow? And so I said that I would give him some shout outs and help him with some marketing. And turns out he went to the Colorado Media School. And I've been looking for a producer for this show and the Synergy show and the Mark Hope show for a while. And so now he's going to take care of that for us.
Oh,
and
cool.
So when you're helping somebody else, oftentimes, it turns out that they're helping you. You don't realize it.
So let me ask a question. You said he's a handyman?
He is.
Well, I need that phone number.
I will go to where I have those links, and I'll put it in our show, on our podcast, on our show.
Yeah, I have people not ask all the time, but I have people that ask me, and I had a handyman that I'd gotten off of, what's that, Nextdoor or whatever. And he did a good job for me, but he vanished. And I've got a couple of small things that I need to get scheduled in. So Justin, is that his name?
Yeah, and I'm going to put it under the show notes for this show.
Okay.
And I don't know if that's going to come up. Yeah, there it is.
Cool.
And I'll try to get his website on there too later. But what a really
Just do it as a separate post
yeah.
on Old Souls.
I did that.
Yeah, I have no issue with that. I mean, they do a good job for you. There's an excellent chance they're going to do a good job for someone else, and everybody's looking for a good personal recommendation.
You know, and I called him during Nicole's show, and he picked the phone right up. I mean, what a great guy. So, John, my New Year's resolution is to try to help somebody every single day somehow. That's my New Year's resolution. Same as last year, same as next year. What's your New Year's resolution?
You know, I don't know that I have a dead straight across the board resolution. I've never been that guy. But I do take the end of the year and the beginning of the year as a time to reflect on what has and hasn't happened over the past year, and what did I not like, what do I feel I want to focus on in the upcoming year, and kind of put some preliminary plans down and go forward. I know this from being in the athletic industry for 25 plus years. There's a hell of a lot of people that make fitness goals in December.
That's always the big joke, right?
And it's not really a joke. It is a joke, but it's not a joke. I mean, it is a dead straight fact that right after the first of the year, your club is going to be massively busy for 6 weeks. And some of those people will journey forward. Others will try to accomplish all of their fitness goals in 3 weeks. And at the end of 3 weeks, they hurt so bad that they don't feel it's worth it. So it's the long road, not the short run. So anyway, so that's kind of what I do. I don't dead straight pick a resolution, at least that I can remember. So that's kind of how I take it forward.
So what do you thinking you're going to be working on this year? You know, I was interviewing some high wealth individuals, and one of the things that they talk about is if you are dealing with, and John, I know you have a couple of these people in your circle, but if you've got really high net worth individuals, it's important when you're interfacing with them that you don't ask them what they do. And the reason that you don't ask them what they do is because a lot of times the high net worth people are unemployed. You know, and I am among those ranks. I don't have a job. I haven't had a job for a long time. I'm busy. If I do have a job, I end up owning the company that I'm interfacing with, but I still don't have a job. So the more proper way to deal with a high net worth individual is to offer a conversation starter, more like, how are you keeping yourself busy now? What are you working on presently?
I 100% agree with that. And you're right. I have I'm pretty lucky. I have more than a few friends that are intelligent and successful, and they're technically, I guess, retired, but they're not. You know, they just don't have, like you said, they don't have a job per se.
And I kind of happily just admit that I'm unemployed, and
But
so
yeah,
if anybody wants to hire me, I'm available.
but see, that's a misnomer to me, because you have a job of life, and you worked really hard at a job per se, and you've put yourself in a position that while you're unemployed, you're still working. You're just
And
working. You're just
and for
working at the
me,
things that you want to work at.
and I am very fortunate to only do things that I love to do. And as soon as I don't like doing something, I stop doing it. And
Well,
for me, when I sold my computer company, I told my wife, I said, I am never, ever going to do anything else that I don't love to do anymore, ever. And that's as far as employment goes. And, I'm very lucky that way.
well, it's like poker. It's calculated luck.
Yes.
This is the path you chose, and I would say that I have kind of kept my I've done more than a few things in life, and one of them has been, for the most part, I've always done the things I wanted to do, not necessarily based on money, but on the fact that I wanted to do them. And going forward, I think my goal right now, one of my goals is we have this podcast. So hopefully over time.
And just a sec, I'm going to interrupt you just for 1 second, John. How marvelous is it that two old guys that have been friends for over 20 years and we talk about things all the time?
Yes.
Yes. When we talk about things all the time, and we said, hey, why don't we turn this into a podcast, see where that goes? And it's marvelous to me that we're executing, and we've probably got the worst podcast and the worst execution.
Exactly.
But we're doing it for us. And if there's a couple of people that happen to eavesdrop on what we're doing, and if somebody gets benefited, that's awesome for us.
Mark, we're the biggest thing is we're doing it.
Yes. And I guess that's the more clumsy way I was saying it. No, I was saying I was being clumsy. You were being on point. We're executing it, and we're, execution before perfection is so important because, and since we're on the old guy show, I'll say it, we're going to die. And if you're waiting to make sure something's perfect before you do it, guess what? They're going to put you in the ground. And then after 15 minutes, after they eat cookies and whatever, they're going to forget about you.
I feel like, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm not fatalistic, but I am damn sure realistic. And I'm on my bonus years.
Absolutely.
The fact that I'm sitting here doing this right now, given all the other things in life, I don't dwell on it, but it's kind of mind-boggling. And
when my dad died in the hospital from a bypass surgery, the only thing that he wanted to do was get out of hospital and go back to his computer so he could look up things on the encyclopedia online. He was a big reader. And if he could only see what we're doing with this technology, John, it would just blow his mind.
Exactly.
And the fact that you and I are doing our own radio show and we don't have to charge anybody advertising or anything like that, it's a massive thing. It's a massive thing.
It is, and I think there were two or three things in December that kind of gave me food for thought, that made me realize I needed to make some decisions about how I wanted to go forward, because
I remember talking to you about that.
Yeah. And if there's anything that I know in life, is if I start thinking about something, it's kind of like, that could be now, it could be when I was younger. If I ever was thinking, I might want to grow a beard, it's probably inevitable that I'm going to grow a beard. And if I start thinking about wanting to do something, it's probably inevitable that I will do something. And my kind of, without being in detail, kind of my goal right now is putting myself in a position that I can step away from some traditional things in life and pursue some of the things I've wanted to pursue, that perhaps I was waiting for the right time. And you know what? I don't know that there's a better time than right now. And they may work, they may not. I do not know this yet, but I need to find out.
Hey, I am a big proponent of everything you just said. And one of the things that here, let me get this. This Mark.
Hi, Mark. This is Marianne, a registered nurse with United Healthcare. Calling you based on the benefits you have listed to us.
Doctor appointment.
If we can be of assistance to meet any of your healthcare needs.
I'm actually in a meeting. Can you give me a call in like a half an hour?
Sure, we can try you again later on today then.
I appreciate that.
Okay, bye-bye.
Sorry about that. When
That's
you're on the
okay.
kidney transplant list and the phone call is a hospital, you have to
No, you're
you have to answer. But
yeah, that's not. Yeah.
One of the things that you said was along the order of manifestation. And that's a real thing, because people don't realize that if you grind your brain on something, that eventually it happens, just because that's all you think about.
Yep.
In some aspect, it happens if you obsess over it enough. And I totally believe that. And a lot of things have happened to me in my life that I look back on and I think, holy crap. I used to be this young kid who owned a computer place or whatever. And I used to sit around the poker table in Las Vegas at the Bellagio. And I had a couple of other interests going. And so I would tell people, well, I'm an entrepreneur and I'm, doing this or that. I've got a lot of things going at different companies. And really, it was just my dreams. I had a small used computer company, and then I started a web development company that really didn't go anywhere back then. And there was a couple of other things, but I kept believing that that's who I was. And now I own several companies. I'm a real estate developer. I have 14 paid off buildings and houses, because I just kept telling people, hey, that's who I am. I'm about that life. And anymore, I don't do any of my own projects anymore. I only do them with my friends. And then they can say, oh, I just bought this bank building in Oklahoma, and we're going to retrofit it and let somebody live in the vault and whatever as a resident.
Which is a great idea.
And we're doing it. Steve Burrell, who's a poker friend of yours, and me and Greg Knott all went together and bought the bank building. And now they get to say, oh, I'm a I'm a real estate developer.
Yeah,
Well,
that's pretty cool.
it's very cool. And the other thing that we bought next to the bank was an old Masonic lodge.
Oh, even better.
Well, we're going to make 2 apartments up and down and rent them out for $600 a month. And the bottom one's rented out to a lady that's running an antique place. And the top, we're going to refurbish it and make a New York style penthouse apartment out of it. But I bought that building for $18,000.
You know, it's Mark. It's funny you would say that. I don't know. It probably wasn't in Oklahoma. I don't remember where it was, but I just read an article about some guy buying a kind of a historic corner building in a small town, and he went in and has renovated it into very similar to what you're saying. He may have done it as his own residence.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I don't remember, but see, I love that. And when you talk about manifestations, one of those things that has always been a dream is I would love to buy an old barn.
Yeah.
The old traditional barn. And I don't care if it's dilapidated on the outside. Matter of fact, I prefer that it's dilapidated on the outside. But then I would like to go inside and turn it into a living space, photo studio, art studio, to have all of that. And one of the other things that's always come to my mind if I ever got to that, 2 things. What is that glass? There's probably a name for it. You know what I'm trying to say. But in the old days, they used it a lot. Those glass bricks.
Yes. Yes.
I don't know that they have
With the wavy things, the glass blocks.
They're real thick. Can't see
Yeah.
through them. I would want those on both sides with an ability to pull down a curtain. I would also like on the top a turret that I can control, that I can open it all the way, part way, one way, so that I could do pictures with available light in a barn.
I love it.
So I could control my own light, still have some studio light, but really be able to work off of available light. And I just think that would be kind of cool. And I want it to be, remember
I'm your guy.
Romancing the Stone? Remember Romancing the Stone?
I do.
And do you remember the part where Michael Douglas and what's her name go up to the residence and they need help, and they knock on the door, and the guy, and there's chickens outside and it looks horrible, and the guy's looking through the little peephole and he's like, Joan Wilder, and he recognizes her. And the minute you go in, that whole dilapidated thing is unbelievable.
Well, take a look
inside.
Take a look at this.
Oh, cool.
And this is the bank, and this is the Masonic Lodge.
Wait, so I'm seeing I'm afraid to touch my phone.
Yeah, don't touch it.
Yeah, don't touch it. I agree. I can see the bank. I'm not certain I see the Masonic Lodge.
Well, there's the bank on the right, the Masonic Lodge in the middle.
Oh, that's the middle. Oh, okay.
The town of Oilton's City Hall is on the left.
Okay.
But if we look at the inside of this, oh, I lost it. Let me
Oh, the interior of my car. Wow, cool.
let me pull this up again here. But the basement of it is being rented out to a lady that has a little antique shop. And so she's renting the bottom floor of it. And this takes a minute to come up for some reason.
Yeah, you're good.
But the top floor is the thing that is going to go into renovation next week. And this is the landing area of the top of it. And then this is the apartment upstairs. So we're going to redo the black on the ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's got, some plaster and drywall things. And then the kitchen needs to be put back together. And then the bathroom needs to have a shower added to it and that kind of thing. But can you imagine having this as your photographic studio?
And what you're showing is so cool. And when I was in school at Oklahoma State, I had a good friend. He was a fraternity brother. I wasn't in a fraternity for very long, but I was a charter member of a fraternity. And Bruce Elliott. And Bruce was an architect. And this was the early 70s. And Bruce was way ahead of his time. And we were roommates, and he just had a different thought pattern. And he ended up, through people that he knew, a guy came to him and he had a building in downtown Stillwater. And up above, he had two places, and these places there were businesses below. And these places were rat traps. I mean, they were horrible. And he said, here you go. Here's these two places. I need you to do something with them. You do something, you can live there for free. It was unbelievable what he did. And one of the most mind-boggling things he did that was so clever. Do you remember how big TVs were in the early 70s?
Yes.
Huge, big.
He cut a hole in the wall and made it a flat screen.
He put it in the closet.
Wow.
And cut the piece.
Yeah.
And
that was high tech, man.
Yeah. And his little office area that looked right down into downtown Stillwater, it was just so compact and cool. I ended up renting the place next door that he had done, but it was an eye opener, and people would hire him. I mean, he was like a sophomore or a junior. He was probably making more money going into people's old homes and doing things than some architects make. And unfortunately, I lost track of him. He moved out to Florida. I have tried so hard to track him down, and I've not been able to do it. I just have a bad feeling that somewhere along the road, something good didn't happen.
Gotcha. And I see what you're saying with that too. And it's so disappointing sometimes when they're good people and they make a left turn and you don't realize it. And the opposite happens as well. I reach out to old friends and they're like, hey, I'm doing great. I'm doing this other thing. Like you, John, you're doing awesome, and especially at your age and your station in life. There's a lot of guys that would have given up after their primary purpose had ended. And you just shift seamlessly between first and second. And now I'm doing photography, and now I'm doing this other thing. I'm doing the racquetball thing. I'm doing the retail thing. Things are changing. And, I really love your ability to say, okay, here's what I'm being given, and this is what I'm going to make out of it. And it's fantastic.
Well,
I know you're humble enough to where you don't like me saying that kind of thing, but I love it.
I do not recommend my lifestyle to many. But
I would disagree with that. I would disagree with that because
well,
you are a happy guy that has a lot of friends. And at the end of the day, there is a bunch of folks that do not have the social and soulful wealth that you have. And there's a lot of people that say they've won at life and they have all kinds of money and they're rotten inside. They don't have people in their life they can trust. They don't have these friendships. This little stupid thing you and I are doing.
right,
There's a lot of people out there that wish they had a good friend that they could build something with.
no,
but
there's no question.
They don't have it. And it makes me sad when they don't.
I've said this many times. If I got paid for the quality of friends I've surrounded myself with through the years, I would be one of the world's richest men.
And you are.
And I am.
Absolutely.
And that plays into, a lot of that plays into my perspective on success. I don't know for sure what defines success. I think you can make a lot of money and not be successful. But by same token, I think if you make a lot of money the right way and you've continued to surround yourself with good people, then it's a bonus. I have not made all that money, but I have surrounded myself with outstanding people. I've been given opportunities to be part of many very interesting things and to go many places that I never would have gone without them. And I'm thankful for that.
Yeah, the thing that they say about money, and as an old guy show, we need to have all these sayings, but the thing that they say about money is money magnifies who you already are.
Correct.
And if you're an asshole and you pour a lot of money on that, you're going to be even a greater asshole. Yeah. And if you're a good guy and a generous, sharing person, if we dump a lot of money on that, then that's going to flower those trees as well. And I had a session, counseling session with a very, very high net worth individual, and this person is dealing with some health issues, and he wants to make sure that his children are going to be okay after he's gone. And the immense wealth that person has isn't helping with that. I mean, yeah, there's going to be money. Yeah, there's going to be, things are going to be taken care of, but is there going to be somebody there to guide his children through the channel locks of life when he's gone? And all the money in the world is not going to take care of those kids when they need a dad that says, hey, wake up,
Yeah, money has ruined as many people as it's helped. Here, we're probably close to closing time here.
We're over again.
Yeah, I want to say one story because you made me think of something that was funny. God, it's been 15, 20 years now, but I had a friend who had made money and had a place down in Phoenix Mesa. What is it?
Tempe.
Gainey Ranch.
Okay.
And he really had never been to a NASCAR race. And so he really wanted, he's like, hey, I want to bring you down, or bring this other guy. We're going to go down and we'll eat and drink. We'll go to the NASCAR race, blah, blah, blah. Well, Gainey Ranch is a gated community, and they're very nice townhomes in there. And then there are humongous homes. And so we're down there, and in the garage, he had like a little Vespa or one of those scooters. So I grabbed the scooter and was cruising the neighborhood, and there was a golf course. And so I immediately had to duck over and get up by the fence by the golf course, so I could watch people play and take a look. And this lady was walking her dog, and she comes around and we start talking. And she was super nice. And I said, yeah, this is like super nice area. And I said, oh, do you live here, I guess? And she goes, yeah, that's our place. Well, she points up kind of on this little hill to this place. Well, it's not just a place. It's like
some gigantic castle.
Yeah, it's like, yep, that's like a hotel. And she kind of laughed. And I kind of said what we talked about earlier. And I said, yeah. I said, that's kind of a nice place, by, if you don't mind me asking. Says, what is it that your husband does? She goes, well, he has kind of these like home, what would she say? What am I trying to say? Like a tool place, or what? He started this company. And I went, oh, well, that's obviously working out well. I said, well, what did he start? She goes, oh, he's the owner of Home Depot.
Is that right?
Yeah. And we both laughed. And I said, oh, so he might be doing well, I think. And we both laughed about it. But she was just so nice and so unassuming. And I just love that. I love that as much as anything when I meet someone who is massively successful at whatever it is that they do, playing the guitar, the banjo, a business, the whatever, and they're super unassuming, and it kind of comes around and they don't really want to spell it out.
Right. Well, you remember our friend Jason Ryder that we played a bunch of poker with.
Oh, yeah.
Jason was my very best friend in the world. And to look at him, no one would know. He had Deca millions, over 10 million liquid. And he drove the shittiest little Jeep. As a matter of fact, when he died, I took that Jeep and I donated it to a young kid that lives here in Oklahoma. And to give him a little bit better chance in life, I wanted him to have Jason's Jeep. But Jason lived in a 2-bedroom, apartment that he rented in Aurora. And he was just a happiest guy. And he didn't care if people thought he was rich or not rich or whatever. He used to play poker with us, and
Oh, yeah, I remember. Yeah.
We all had a great time together, and it wasn't about him being ultra rich. And, he didn't hang around with the guys at the Cherry Hills Country Club where he belonged. He hung around with us.
Did you ever know at the Aurora Athletic Club, did you ever know Ben Poxon?
I don't think I did.
I don't think you did. Ben was a wild man, and I really liked him. And And I liked him before I knew just like exactly what you just talked about. And we would go to play golf, and I would call him to play in a golf tournament. And he would go, John, I'm not that good. And I go, I'm not that good. I said, but I want you on my team. And so he would come, and he's the only guy I ever played in a tournament with that I would just make him sit down and slam 2 beers like at 8 o'clock in the morning, just to get him back to a normal human being. Well, his family basically owned Crete, Colorado.
Gotcha.
They owned the gold mine. And Ben and I were on a Monday night bowling league together. He drove a used Jeep Wagoneer. His office was off of Havana and 6th Avenue in this retail shop up above some businesses. And if you did not know that he was filthy rich, you would have never known it. And when you talked to him, it was kind of like you were talking to a country hick, until which time you thought you were going to pull something over on him. And then
and that happens a lot. That happens a lot.
Exactly. And then he would shift gears and leave them standing there like, what just happened? And we'll close with this. And sadly, when I was on the road a lot, I'd received a voicemail from Ben, and I had just gotten in off the road. I listened to part of it. I got another call, and they're like, I know you just got home. You're going back out tomorrow morning. I immediately shifted gears, washed clothes, and I didn't really come and listen to the message until I got home. Well, actually, I didn't listen to the message. Then I went to track him down, and that message was probably a cry for help. And the enormity of the gold mine, the EPA, running the family business, all of those things caught up with him, and he committed suicide.
You know,
I hate that. I hate
it
that
happens.
story.
It happens, and whenever I'm dealing with somebody, everybody's at a different level in things. And when I'm doing my consulting, especially my life consulting with people that I don't charge anybody money for that, only to pay it forward. But I always say the same thing. I work with a lot of these people that have been down as far as they can go, and then they rebuild their lives back up and they win. They've been in prison, they've had drug addiction, they've had alcoholism, and they find themselves and they win. And I get to somebody else who I would call middle class, say, and I want to have them view the life through the lens of the person that lost everything and they won. It's like, dude, you already got a head start. This person did kindergarten through a master's degree and won life. You're having a bump, but you're a senior in high school. I mean, all you got to do is just try to do it.
Yeah.
And then just get back on track, and it happens. And if they can do it starting with nothing, living in a refrigerator box,
right.
I look at some of these other people and say, hey, you got some student loans, you got some credit card bills, you're living in an apartment. Dude, you're warm and safe. You got one job. Let's get 2 more jobs. Let's make some investments. In a year, your life is boom. And
I wish I'd have had someone like you around when I was growing up, because there was no such investments.
Yeah.
The hell, what does that mean?
And I unfortunately had the same upbringing, John, and I really am about about half of my time I donate to anyone that will listen. Please listen to what I have to say, because if I help one person,
Yeah.
If I can get one 18-year-old kid to deposit $100 a month in a Roth IRA, and they end up having a couple $1,000,000 because of that one thing.
Yep.
Oh my God, it just changes everything.
It does.
And,
It does.
John, you and I both know that we've been given our trials for a reason.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I respect most about my father, we grew up poor. And when I found out what a bankruptcy means and what it is, we grew up poor because my dad wouldn't go bankrupt. He said, those people loaned the money to me, not Systems and Software. So when Systems and Software went under, he paid all the bills, even though he could have went bankrupt, but he had that integrity. And I know that that is a story in your history where something bad happened and you had the integrity to be the one that followed through. And I have an enormous amount of respect for both you and my father because of that.
I know we're doing the extended version of the Old Souls show.
Right.
I'll end it with this. I will take credit, not credit. And I'm not going to go into detail because I'm just not.
And I don't blame you.
I'd lost the business.
And you and I both know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. And the one thing I did do, I kind of came to a point, we'll skip a whole bunch. I came to a point where I had to declare bankruptcy. But before I did, I wrote anyone that I knew that I owed money to, I wrote them a letter and I said, here's the deal. I'm going to have to declare bankruptcy. But whatever I owe you, I will pay you back. And these were people that, there's a couple in there that they had a lot of money. And it really tells a lot about people, because I remember one of the people saying to me, John, what about bankruptcy? Are you not understanding?
Right.
And I said, well, probably a lot. He goes, no, this is when you declare bankruptcy and you don't have to pay people back. I said, I'm with you. But that's not.
But your heart of hearts felt like my dad did,
Yeah. So I did. And the government the SBA loan kind of went away. It was still a struggle, but I paid every one of those people back. And one in particular, I remember him saying to me, I give a lot of money to a lot of people who have money. He goes, you know what? They don't pay me back.
Right.
He says, but you did. And I said, well, I thought it was a loan, not a gift.
Right.
And there you go. So that's the extended version.
People need to learn that.
It's important to have integrity.
Yes.
It's important to recognize when you're wrong and to apologize. And I saw someone racquetball related this summer that his company got hosed by that bankruptcy, and I paid a little bit of that money back, but not enough. And I hadn't seen this guy in 20 years. And we sat down and talked, and he was very thankful and he understood. And it was a load off my shoulders and I tell you what, if I ever win the lotto, if I ever win a lot of money, I will still give him some money. Right. He doesn't even need the money.
Right.
He's doing well again now, but that's not the point.
Well, and it's not in your heart either. It's just because somebody doesn't need to get paid back,
Yeah.
I have a situation that's going on right now where this kid was going to get kicked out of his apartment. So I loaned him $1,000, and he's made 2 of the payments, and he's late on the 3rd payment. And it's not because, I have the money that he doesn't need to pay me back, but it spoils the relationship,
Yeah.
And I want to be able to help this kid again in the future. But him and his daughter were getting kicked out of their place. And nobody would loan him $1,000. I did it. It's important for him to make it right so we can go forward. It's not about me needing the money.
No. I 1000% understand.
I could have kept the money, and then I wouldn't have to worry about needing it. I wouldn't have to worry about him judging whether I needed my own money back.
And when I was in college, a friend's mother lent me a couple of $100, and I was beyond poor at this particular time. I mean, the place that I was renting in college toward the end was like an urban renewal reject. And I never really did pay her all that money back. And when I went to make it right, it was too late. I never forgot that. And it's one of the reasons that it was a lesson that I learned that allowed me to change how I thought about that stuff. And actually, I knew at that time, but when I say that I was poor, I was poor.
I know.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, let's stop real quick
Okay.
and say, what do you do with that? If you owe somebody something and they escape this mortal coil without us making it right, we need to find somebody else that we can help, John, and pay that person instead.
Yeah. And that's exactly,
And it's why we do the charity work that we do.
Yeah. I carried that burden forever. I still do. And because of that is the basis of why I try to do some of the other things I do.
And
Still
it
doesn't
matters.
make that right.
No, it does. It does.
I'm just
It
trying
does.
to.
I believe it does.
Yeah.
And when you put something into that karma and we make a mistake, we don't get to pay the person back directly, but in their thought process, in their name, and this woman that treated you well helps a little kid that wouldn't have gotten Christmas presents or whatever we do, and we think about that person's soul, I believe that they get a vibration where they're at, and they think, I helped little Johnny, and now Johnny is helping this other person, and it all matters to all of us. And I really believe it.
And you're right. Well, I think we should probably call it a day. Thank you for everybody for listening to the extended version of Old Souls.
We get yakking, don't we? We get yakking.
Yeah, as usual, we started with a good thought and we shifted gears, but they still remain good thoughts. They just weren't the original thought.
John, let me tell you something, buddy. I love you. And there isn't a damn thing you could do about that. And I love starting off 2024 with my good buddy John. And tune in next week.
Yep.
And we're going to establish
see what the hell's going on.
We're going to establish a regular time for this show. But until then, try and keep up with when we're on and get us on the rewatch.
It's like herding cats. Okay. Thanks, Mark.